We're back and breaking down today's hot topics with our Monday mega panel on board. We got Michelle Bernard, President and CEO of the Independent Women's Forum, Anna Marie Cox, Washington correspondent at GQ Magazine, and Ari Berman from The Nation, not to be confused with Ari Melber. Doesn't he also work at The Nation, though?
Yeah, very confusing. And we've both been on your show, so doubly confusing.
It's a whole... Anyway,
we're not the same person.
But you're not the same person, and that's important to understand. Ari Berman, not Ari Melber, has a book, Herding Donkeys, the fight to rebuild the Democratic Party and reshape American politics. And speaking of American politics, our congressional leaders have reconvened post-election. This is the same Congress as before the election. They're back. They are going to, I don't know, rewrite the tax code, maybe extend tax cuts that could cost $4 trillion over the next 10 years, create no estate tax whatsoever for the first time in decades. They don't have a lot of responsibility, but they do have a little bit. I joke. Obviously, this is crazy. Obviously, we've done this forever. The lame duck session used to be longer than this.
Well, what I think is interesting is
what are we doing
this
here?
This is a time period when you really need the sort of so-called fourth branch of government, the media, to really take a look, because other than that, there's really no one overseeing a lame duck Congress. And what's also really interesting to me is we have all these new people coming in, which I know we're going to talk about, but the people who are already there, who've been voted out, are acting like they have no responsibility left to their constituents anymore because they aren't returning back. They can make these kinds of deals, and this is really insane that they're rewriting the tax code with no one watching.
And I think it's important to emphasize that there is no component of our for all we talk about policy, military, healthcare, education, the tax policy, Ari, is the backbone. It is what capitalism is driven by. It is how money gets spent. It is whether money pools up in one place or another place. Can you imagine a time when the tax code was going to be rewritten by a bunch of people who were beholden to no one? I feel like I've lost my mind already.
I actually don't think we have to be too worried about it, because I don't think really anything is going to get done.
Okay,
so the Democrats usually, I mean, they've already solved that problem. They should have dealt with this tax issue before they left, is what should have happened. They didn't.
But that's the question. You know, the big question is does it really take a lame duck Congress to get members of Congress to actually vote their convictions and do what they think is best, or are they now going to say, I'm asking. And the flip side is, are they going to say, I'm so demoralized,
These people are bought. Are you kidding me? It's
not even voting their convictions. There are still lobbyists on the Hill, even in a lame duck Congress.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There are more lobbyists. I read somewhere that there are more lobbyists than ever for a lame duck Congress coming in exactly for this purpose, exactly to negotiate the compromise on the Bush tax cuts, which looks like the White House is going to agree to. And what's amazing to me is we talk about how important the tax code is, and you're right, it's a backbone of the way we function as a modern democracy.
It's like our skeleton.
That we're doing in a lame duck Congress, or at least
whatever.
But there's so many other things that the Democrats have said, well, that's too complicated to take on during a lame duck Congress.
Like healthcare reform.
Yes.
Well, the funny thing is,
but you're going to do the tax code in a lame duck, which has got more loopholes.
Immigration, looking at immigration.
What Democrats keep telling their base is, we'll just get to it in the lame duck Congress. And then the lame duck Congress comes when they say, okay, well, we can't get to it now. It's a lame duck Congress.
Yeah, exactly. It's a total bait and switch.
Well,
it's a really lame duck.
It shows why every single poll that was taken going into the midterm shows that the American public can't stand either
and they know
political
it's a rigged
party.
game.
It's ridiculous.
You know it's a rigged game when you've got a bunch of people paying lawyers to have meetings with politicians who no longer have a constituency,
and
who are going to attempt to write the tax code for the benefit of whoever's the lawyer that's going to. I'm not saying that they'll pull it off, but you can see where the people get skeptical.
And just remember, the idea they won't do anything is something. I mean, there are things that are going to happen if they don't do anything, the estate tax included.
Right.
So it's not like they won't do anything, so we don't have to worry.
Right. No, not doing anything allows again, a whole bunch of tax things to happen that are insane. Fresh meat. Yeah. This is either good, because you're going to have the sort of honest inquiry, and as our founding fathers envisioned it, and why a lot more skepticism perhaps to the process and to the decision making, or you have easy marks for professionals to get to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be more fresh meat than new blood, because I mean, basically all these new members of Congress, they're entering a structural power imbalance where there's like 25 lobbyists for every legislator. So they're outnumbered to begin with, and then they lock on the lobbyists, they lock on to people when they get there, and these Tea Party guys are going there with not a lot of experience.
Lobbying is not inherently bad. In other words, the concept of lobbying for your interests is very democratic, right?
Absolutely.
Anna Marie believes in this, and I believe in that, and Michelle believes, and we go out and say, listen, I really think it should be this or this.
Yeah.
So I think we got to be careful to demonize lobbying so much as demonizing lobbying with money in secret as for a system that's dependent on money. Fair? No, I know.
It's not like it's for the good of the country that we're necessarily lobbying.
And the people that are there now, there's something like a record number of people that are there with having held no elected office whatsoever.
Yeah.
They're going to have trouble getting to the train on time, much less, figuring out like what to do as a legislator. I mean, not that it's that hard, I guess, but there are going to be people there willing to ready to prey on them and prey onto any confusion that they might have.
See, I'm not that worried about them. I think this is probably a very good thing. I don't think that any of them could do any worse of a job than the members of Congress that have been there 20, 30, 40 years.
I've thought that before myself, but then I keep showing up for the next year and I keep seeing. But anyway, why do you feel that way?
Well,
Why do you feel that way?
I think fresh meat is important. For example, when we have
fresh meat or new blood?
New blood, whatever you want to call it. For example, when we've got this whole new crop of Republicans coming in, particularly the Tea Party people, or however you want to talk about them or identify them, how are they going to work with John Boehner? Boehner is going to have to figure out how to work with people who are very, very ideologically aligned with certain viewpoints. They're going to have to learn how to compromise, and this might be a way of forcing members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, to do something that they've been refusing to do for the last 2 years.
But the power is not on the side of the people of the new blood. The power is on the side of the people with seniority, the people who know how to work the system. And while I do think that you were saying that the founders envisioned a fresh turnover and for the sort of the citizen legislature to be a part of the tradition, I think what's happening here, especially with the people who are elected in the Tea Party slate, not only do they not I would actually say they aren't really tied to an ideology, they're tied to a very specific worldview. And sometimes, and that got expressed a lot of the time in the Tea Party rallies as things like, if you've got balanced the budget like you balance your own budget around the kitchen table. And that's not how government works.
Yeah, and I think
to have a generation of people come in with that attitude is going to be problematic.
Well, it's a schizophrenic worldview too, because for example, Mike Lee, who's from Utah, new senator, he just hired a lobbyist as his chief of staff, and that lobbyist specialized in procuring earmarks. Well, that's the very thing that the Tea Party is supposed to be against and are voting on in the caucus tomorrow.
What I think we're going to see with the Tea Party, having watched this development up to this point, where the rhetoric is incredibly well founded, it makes a lot of sense. They're tapping into, let me just finish my point, they're tapping into sort of anger and frustration, but then the actual manifestation politically of the Tea Party is insane. It is completely so, and I don't mean that behaviorally.
I think that Ari's word is right. It's schizophrenic. I mean, that's what happens when you have a worldview that you want to balance the national budget like you balance your house budget. That is not possible, and in order to think that that's possible, you have to have literally like a schizophrenic.
Or you want to extend all the task.
Michelle, go ahead.
Isn't it? I think there's something to be said for the fact that as crazy as many of them are, they are forcing a conversation that we haven't had in 2 years. That's critical.
They are, but I feel like it's incredibly dangerous to let somebody hold the mantle of reform and independence and then have them walk in and say, we're the reformers, but we are not going to engage with the transparency issues, the competitiveness issues, and the reform issues that need to be dealt with. In fact, we're just going to now manipulate it on behalf of whoever our overlords are. And I think that the false solutions that people keep buying into, whether it's the false solution of Barack Obama's going to save us, but no one else has to help him, and no one else, the system doesn't matter because now we've elected him, and so we're done. Let's go to the beach. Or look at this Tea Party. Aren't they wonderful?
And their leader is known for passing out tobacco money on the House floor. I mean, that's the very thing the Tea Party people are supposed to be fighting against.
I'm less worried about the Tea Partiers bringing some kind of far right-wing legislation to bear than I am about them getting so with very good intentions being co-opted by people like John Boehner. And that is the thing that I worry about. Is actually it would be nice to have people going who are idealistic, who then take a fresh look at things and are able to process reform. But I worry that because their worldview is so weirdly diametrically opposed to how things actually work in Washington, that they'll just simply they'll take the path of least resistance.
Well, we'll get a chance
and we'll
to
get
talk
more
about it.
of the same.
Hey, at least you don't have to do it at the kitchen table. You can go to GQ. You can talk about it there. You can go to MSNBC.
Much more stylish.
And you're stylish.
Yes.
So most people watch all this, but they don't get to go on TV and talk about it and harass people for it. So.
How lucky we are.
Now it's a feel-good moment of the day. Ari, thank you. Anna Marie, Michelle, thank you very much. Up next, thanks, guys. Coming up, calling all volunteers.